This is the Thunder Zone, a Tampa Bay 28 podcast original. Let's talk Bulls. Now, here's Kevin and Kyle.
And welcome into the Tampa Bay 28 studio for another edition of the Thunder Zone. I'm Kyle Berger. This is Kevin Lewis. Another week of Tampa Bay Lightning hockey.
A little better mood going around Benchmark International and the Tampa Bay area after the 1-4-2 start. Lightning start to turn things around here in the early going, and we'll be joined by a special guest in the next segment, Diandra Loux from the Hockey News, who will be breaking down. She watches more hockey than anybody you know who watches more hockey.
Yeah, dropping some knowledge on us.
Yeah, so that'll be next couple of segments. It'll be good to catch up with her from the Mark. They want to call it the Mark. Some people call it the benchmark. I don't know.
Like I think they're pushing the Mark.
The Mark.
The Mark. They're signage for the Mark.
Yeah, which is very nice.
But, we interview Diandra on the bench.
We're at the bench on the Mark. Yeah. Anyway, Lightning playing better hockey, doing it by playing more consistent hockey. A guy who's been Mr. Consistency for them, Anthony Cirelli, just keeps scoring goals. And then you see guys that you would normally see at the top of the points table. Nikita Kucherov, again, a guy who quietly can give you like a goal and an assist. You're like, oh, he did that? In goal, Andrei Vasilevsky. It took him a while to get his first win, but Jonas Johansson hasn't slowed down since he's been filling in.
Yeah, we talked with Diandra about Jonas. The backup role has been spectacular since he's been in there. 3-1 and 916 save percentage. And we talked about Cirelli. He's leading the team in goals, and someone's got to pick it up the pace a little bit because a guy like Braden Point is kind of down right now. His 2 goals come into Tuesday play, so hopefully he should be able to stack some goals up here. Diandra thinks he will here coming up.
And the guy Cirelli, if he's going to be the tie that raises the rest of the ships, let him do it. But the Lightning, they keep it pretty simple. We heard from head coach John Cooper and Jake Gensel, who scored the game winner against the Utah Mammoth. They just have to keep doing what they're doing.
Don't change the way we're playing. And this is a grind. Just can't take our feet off the gas. We had a slow start to the season and we kind of clawed our way back here, but it's a long way to go.
Yeah, just got to play simple, got to play north, got to play the right way, and when we're above teams, we're a pretty good team, so that's just what we got to do.
Yeah, that slow start of the season, they were the worst start in franchise history at one point.
Right.
They were at the bottom of the standings. You look now, they're right on that fringe of if playoffs started today, they'd be right there in the mix.
Right, and that's, of course, where they expect to be each and every season. And again, the roster too good not for them to all. I mean, they're not going to be enough pucks to go around sooner or later. You said when Braden Point picks it up, which you know he will. They had multiple 35-plus goal scorers last year, so we will see how the Lightning progress as this grind continues. But stick around. That's Kyle Berger. I am Kevin Lewis. We'll be joined by Diandra Loux and her hockey expertise coming up on the Thunder Zone.
Welcome back to the Tampa Bay 28 Thunder Zone.
Through the magic of TV, we are now at Benchmark International Arena with the Jumbotron behind us. Diandra Loux, the Hockey News, joins us. You've covered the team for 4 or 5 seasons. We'll start off with the sluggish start from the team and now the winning streak. What's been the biggest difference?
Yeah, well, I think it took a little bit, right, for the guys to get going. It was kind of an interesting preseason. We had some suspensions, right? And it takes a little bit to get going. And I think John Cooper actually talked about that recently, that, some of the guys that are playing right now, they weren't even with the team, right? They're in the lineup now, but they weren't even with the team in preseason. So I think we're seeing the guys kind of settle in, get back to their pace that we saw last season. It's the same team. It's the same roster, not a lot of differences. So they didn't just forget to play hockey. It just took a little bit of time, and we're seeing them find their rhythm and find their pace again.
Last year, the story offensively was the amount of goal scorers that had 35-plus last year. Anthony Cirelli almost there. He had 27, I think, and 59 points. But he has picked up where he left off and is still on fire. What about number 71 makes it seem like he's always in the right place, the right time? We saw in the Dallas game, he called game and sent everybody home with a win, and he just keeps getting better and better, it seems, offensively each year.
Yeah, he's off to a great start. And we talked about the slow start that they had, right? So it's really come in handy that Anthony Cirelli has been on fire from the beginning of the season. He was a Selke finalist last season, the first time. And so I actually was going to write a story about this. He's kind of just picked up where he left off, right? Scoring goals. He and Brandon Hagel together, there's nothing like it. I think Cirelli is a player that we're just going to see continuously get better. And over the years, we've seen him take more of a leadership role on this team. So I think he's just going to continue to build on that.
And he's scoring goals, but Braden Point, a guy who led the team in goals last year, only has 2 going into Tuesday night. What's been kind of his slow start?
It's hard to say with Braden Point, but we know what he can do, right? We've seen what he's done over the years for this team. So I think it's going to be similar to what happened with Brandon Hagel, right? You score a goal or two, and with Braden Point, just historically, they come in bunches. So I think once he gets that first one, and we've seen him hit the post a couple times, which is just bad luck.
Right.
So over time, it's bound to happen. Braden Point, I think we'll see him probably in the next few games.
And he's on my fantasy team, so don't sell high. Keep him. Just hold on Braden Point.
I don't want to jinx anything. You know what I mean, for your fantasy.
And I talked to. We're going to talk more with assistant coach Dan Hinote next week. Just another tangent of the offense. Nikita Kucherov all of a sudden, has double-digit points, but he said he's one of those guys. He's so great, you don't realize you look up and you see a goal and an assist, and you're like, I didn't see Kucherov. Oh wait, and number 86 seems to be rounding into form because he, by his Hall of Fame high standards, started a little slow, but I think once he gets going, Braden Point gets going, Oliver Bjorkstrand. I mean, you have so many guys who there might not be enough pucks to go around, which I think would probably be a good thing.
Yeah, and we talk about guys like Anthony Cirelli, and even in that fourth line, but depth scoring is so important, right? When the top guys are kind of taking a little bit to get going, they now have a strong third and fourth line that they can look to score goals for them.
And one of those, somebody who will remain unnamed asked John Cooper about the Yanni Gourde line. So there's other people on that line too. When you have, Zemgus Girgensons, and they've been putting together some pretty dynamic plays.
The all-name team line.
Yeah, oh, yes.
Zemgus, Pontus Holmberg,
Yanni
Gourde.
Yeah.
But they can do some dynamic things on offense, which again, it's kind of like not every pitcher in baseball has to be a number one starter. You can have a solid bullpen, and that's kind of like what those guys are.
Yeah, I feel like that line is starting to develop its own personality. I feel like by the time we're halfway through the season, it's going to have multiple names and a full personality. So yeah, that line is gritty. They do the things that other players maybe don't want to do, and they have no problem with it, and it's paying off for them, right? Yanni Gourde has 3 goals, but just overall their production. And like we said, when you have a slow start or, some players are off for a little bit, it's so important to have that fourth line. And we watched, when they won the Cup, that was a key piece. Over the years, they've been trying to build that back, and now I feel like they finally have it.
And you mentioned Yanni's 3 goals on that line. Offense seems like icing on the cake with that line, because that's not what that line is meant to do out there.
Yeah, and Yanni Gourde was a scorer. I know there were so many questions, right, when he came back. Is he the same Yanni Gourde? Seems like he is, right?
Copy and paste.
Yeah, he needed a little bit of time. He came in after the trade deadline last season, had surgery, right? So it took a little bit of time, but I think now we're seeing it. You see a guy like Holmberg come in. If there's one player that they brought in this summer, it was him. And I know he did well in Toronto, so we expected him to do that here. But just all together, and then Zemgus Girgensons comes back and lights out.
Stick around. We have more Thunder Zone coming up from our second home, really yours much more than ours, Benchmark International Arena, right after this.
Welcome back to the Tampa Bay 28 Thunder Zone.
Welcome back to the Thunder Zone. Kevin Lewis, Kyle Berger, Diandra Loux, our special guest this week. We talked a lot of offense in the last segment. We're going to get defensive with some good news between the pipes for the Bolts.
Backup goaltender Jonas Johansson. He's been pretty spectacular in the early part of the season. 3-1 record, a .916 save percentage. How much easier does that make it for Coop to give Vazzy a rest every now and then instead of piling on that workload like he's had the past several years?
Yeah, we're not really used to Vazzy kind of sitting back and letting the backup do his thing. But like you said, Johansson has been solid for them this season. Vazzy's 31 now, and I think John Cooper talked about it in training camp, kind of player management, having him rest a little bit more than what we're used to seeing, but it's worked out really well, and I think the guys are playing really well in front of him, which always helps.
Yeah, and a guy like Vasilevsky, who I remember his the preseason media press conference when he said, of course, everything with a straight face, they paid me to play every day, so I want to play every day, or something But when you have a guy who has that mentality, who can take a day off, and he said, he doesn't work out the same as he used to because he's had back issues and whatever else. So, 31, a hockey goalie, that's a veteran player, which makes me feel super old. But just moving forward, Vasilevsky, as the season goes along, through the first 7 games, I think he didn't have a win. Now, to pile those up, that just crushes the soul of other teams in the East as they see, and even if Vazzy has a day off, you get Jonas in there and oops.
Yeah, and you think about like over the past 5 years, like how much hockey Andrei Vasilevskiy has played, and he's talked about it. Like you said, he altered his workouts. He's doing more like plyometrics type training, and what a luxury it is, right? At the end of the season, maybe to have Vasi sit out, rest a few games. If they make it into the playoffs, like he's gonna be ready to go.
Yeah, we're talking about an old guy at 31. How about a young guy at 23, Dominic James? He got called up, 11 games into his AHL career. He's already providing a spark. He's stuck around. So what has he brought to the team?
And he's a young guy. That's another thing we haven't seen with the Lightning over the years, right? A guy coming out of college, pretty much. He got his AHL debut in Syracuse and went straight up and is in the lineup now for the Lightning. So I think they really liked him in training camp. He signed in September, so a late sign. He's really fast. They like his pace, his competitiveness. He is not scared of anything. And I think he's actually gotten faster as he's been in the lineup.
I heard the great Brian Engblom say it just on a broadcast that John Cooper likes the fact that he absorbs and he listens, and then he doesn't make the same mistakes twice. Like he said, do this. Just how important, and you've watched a lot of hockey, is it for young players to be that sponge and say, okay, mentally be there, especially at a young age to where you're not going back and forth between Syracuse and you're going to find a home here in Tampa or the NHL, wherever you end up.
Yeah, well, and this is a lot of pressure, right? You've got guys like Nikita Kucherov, a Hart finalist. You got Braden Point. You have some big names in this lineup, and I think that is something usually they like for them to have experience for that reason. Like you talk about the pressure, but it does not seem to faze him at all. When I talk to him in the locker room, he is just even keel, ready to go, no fear, and I think that's what they like.
And when we talk about James, he's not the only player that's made his NHL debut already early this season. Cooper said he doesn't get a lot of these debuts where they wear the patch, do the circle, but Charles Edward Destu.
Nice pronunciation. Good work by you.
That was good. Yeah. Curtis Douglas. So we got 3 guys that already made their NHL debut. So what kind of spark does that give to the team when you have a guy, fresh guy out there, kind of locker room boost, you think?
Yeah, and you think like they brought those guys in right when they were going through that kind of sluggish start and trying to figure things out, and it was an immediate spark for them. So I think when you mix that young energy with the vets, it makes for a really good locker room. It was very upbeat, and those guys, they want to stay up here, so it adds that competitive edge to it as well.
And Curtis Douglas is showing right off the bat.
B42.
His first shift in the NHL, and he's already throwing gloves.
Yeah, right away, his debut.
And another guy who I don't think I've heard him say more than a sentence at training camp is Emil Lilleberg, who, he's imposing his will, just like Douglas. I mean, defensively, you have Chernak, Victor Hedman's piling up assists. Ryan McDonough had 3 goals out of the gate. Just for that unit to have health and cohesiveness, it goes without saying how important that's going to be.
Yeah, it's everything. I mean, you see when they're playing as a cohesive unit. You could see in the beginning, right, it looked like everyone was kind of playing as an individual, right? Mm-hmm. But now you see everyone, all the lines are cohesive, everyone's working together.
And that'll wrap up this segment of the Thunder Zone podcast. Special thanks to Diandra Loux of the Hockey News and Kevin Lewis, of course. We will be right back on the Thunder Zone on Tampa Bay 28.
Welcome back to the Tampa Bay 28 Thunder Zone.
And we are back in the studio from Benchmark Arena. That's Kevin Lewis. I'm Kyle Berger. Welcome back to the Tampa Bay 28 Thunder Zone.
And over the past few years, I mean, the consecutive sellout streak of 300 and whatever it is, regular season and playoff
probably
games.
More than that.
Yeah, it speaks for itself. But the Be the Thunder moniker and Lightning Nation has been growing and growing. And if you watch games on television, especially road games, you'll always see a few Lightning sweaters, in arenas across the country and in Canada. So every week on our show, we're going to highlight a fan or fans. Robert Boyd had a good story about, I'm going to call it a Bolts cave, not a Bolts cave at their house. And this week, it is Lauren St. Germain, who sneaky wants to do sports. I know she does. Lauren St. Germain, our good friend, has this week's edition.
Drops this one off in front for Bjorkstrand.
Hockey's just always exciting, And yeah, it gets more exciting with a better play. But the whole game, how the crowd gets involved. Let's go Lightning.
Sharon Moran has been a Lightning fan since day one.
Went to the inaugural game over at the fairgrounds, became season ticket members right after they won their first cup in 2004, 2005, and have been season ticket members ever since. But of course, this is one of the favorite items at a game. Let's get the energy going.
Her love of hockey came from her mom.
She was probably, again, one of hockey's best fans. So from the couch later on to the seat there in section 303, seats 1 and 2, she was diehard.
Is that where you still have tickets?
Yep, still have those same tickets. There's lots of times that if I can't make it to the game, one thing that warms my heart is being here watching the game because I know my mom is right there watching it with me. Every year, I get a happy birthday from somebody from the Lightning team. This is the one that I got this year. Sassy!
Fun fact about Sharon, she's originally from the Boston area.
Proud to be a Super Bowls fan, will always be a Super Bowls fan. I get razzed sometimes by my friends from Boston, but...
I was going to say, how is that? Because you used to be a Bruins fan and now...
Yes, and so with friends and classmates up there, they're like, Sharon, how could you let this happen? But like I said, Phil Esposito brought hockey to Florida, and I'm here able to go to the games.
In Sharon's house, even her pet is a Lightning fan.
Your cat enjoys the games?
Yes, my cat is a Bolts fan.
Andrea Vasilevsky's the big cat. She has the smaller version, the home game at home. But I undersold the Lightning. Their consecutive sellout streak, regular season and playoff games, excluding COVID year, of course, 373, and that was before last season. So they're 400 is a thing of the past. But it's really cool to see a lot of the OG fans too, from when they first showed up 3 decades ago, still wearing the blue and white.
And the best part about Sharon's story is that it's like the fandom's passed down in the family,
right?
Mom goes to the
Generational.
game. Yeah, that's how you build the fan base. That's kind of what we've been seeing here with the Lightning, starting back from 30 some years ago. The OG fans, you raise your kids right, and you keep the blue sweater.
And the winning a lot, Stanley Cups, and being a consistent playoff team always helps that cause.
But I think it's really cool. Also, like the Lightning send their OG fans happy birthday messages.
Yeah, no, it's
an autographed picture from Andrei Vasilevsky.
You're right. I mean, and we saw Paul Agrone did a story with a guy who had a heart transplant a couple weeks ago, and I think it was Yanni Gord. A couple of guys on the team sent him, video messages on their phone, which these guys got a lot going on, but it's super cool to see them reach out to the community. And one of our colleagues, Dia Riley, is the MC of the Lightning Community Heroes program, something that's really cool. It started with Jeff Vinnick, who is not the majority owner anymore of the team. But again, he's not like skipping town and leaving, the Tampa Bay Lightning up altogether. Kyle, the 2011-2012 season was the first $10 million donation from his family and the Lightning Foundation to nonprofits throughout the area. And it's just every game, they find somebody else a deserving cause to help fund. And $50,000 can do a lot for a small business.
And I've been a sports fan 43 years, all my life. And I've never seen an organization really put back so much into the region around the area.
It's built up that area of Channelside and downtown. And I'm ripping off a couple of the numbers. They've so far, the original iteration, $34.37 million to 797 different nonprofits. And the family in 2021, the Vinnick family said it was going to run through this season. So super cool causes from all over the region. $50,000. It's a big deal. When you have the checks to write, he writes them, and he's built up. I don't even know what you call it. It's a glacier. It's a monolith. This Lightning, and it's a cliche to say, oh, teams help out the community, but the Lightning embody that.
That's how you build a fan base. The winning helps, but
right?
The giving back to the people that aren't like maybe diehard fans of hockey,
right?
They could be diehard fans of people being good people.
Yeah, and if you don't go to games consistently or see those, they have plenty of stories. Like if you go to the Lightning website /community, and you can see a bunch of those stories. Now, back to business.
Yeah, also on the Lightning website, you can go and find the upcoming schedule,
yes,
which is what we have. Looking forward to Thursday. We are still on the road.
Yes,
at Las Vegas
in the Wild West. And we're going for a little sweep of the Golden Knights, who are a good team, one of the best teams in the West.
Yeah, was it last week? The Golden Knights came here, and Kucherov, I think, beat them in overtime.
Left with an L, yes. And then the Washington Capitals, Alexander the Great, come to a benchmark. I almost said the former name again, but they come calling downtown on Saturday night, which could be a shootout.
How old is that guy now? Is he older than us?
63 years old, I think. Yeah.
Confirm that.
confirm that. We can ask the internet. But like John Cooper says, at this point of the season, he used the phrase clawing back earlier in the show. And, they're not, they've strung a couple of wins together. They're playing better hockey. You never really saw any panic. And now moving forward, you think they just want to push through this portion of the schedule into December, into kind of where that lull is if you're not following the team closely, and you just get these points now so you don't have to get them in January and February.
Yeah, if you're going to be slow at any point of the season, start slow, finish loud.
Right.
The big bang here at the end.
And if we can keep getting production from, we talked about it with Diandra, the Girgensons Gord line. I mean,
you're missing Girgensons, Gord, Holmberg.
Oh, Holmberg. Sorry, the all name line. Sorry, the Girgensons, Gord, Holmberg, hyphen. Those lines, young players still continuing to contribute, and then Victor Hedman piling up more assists. You sneaky see Nikita Kucherov getting the score sheet twice. Again, this roster is just too good not to have the firepower it takes to make another run into and through the playoffs.
All right, well, enjoy Lightning hockey this week. Again, Thursday, Vegas, Saturday, back home at the bench, or the mark, you want to call it, against the Washington Capitals. Yes. That's going to wrap up this edition of the Thunder Zone. That's Kevin Lewis. I'm Kyle Berger. Have a great night.